They told us we were alone in the universe. They were wrong. The first alien ship arrived without warning, a blade of black metal cutting through the sky. Its message wasn't a greeting. It wasn't a plea. Just one word, echoing across every screen on Earth: run. But here's the thing. They didn't know. This wasn't our first war. And we weren't the victims. We were the monsters they feared. And now, after thousands of years, the past has come back to collect its debt. Please wait. Before we start, tap that iCard button in the top right corner and smash that subscribe button. Right now, hit the notification bell so you're first in line when new stories land. Alright, let's dive into the story. The stars blinked coldly in the void, indifferent to the tiny blue planet below. Earth, once just another backwater world, was about to become something far more dangerous. It started with a distress signal, a looping cry for help in a language no human had ever heard. The bridge of the UEDF battleship Ironclad was silent except for the steady hum of machinery and the occasional beep of a console. Captain Marcus Rook Grayson, a grizzled 38-year-old veteran with a cybernetic left arm and a permanent scowl, leaned forward in his command chair. His sharp blue eyes locked onto the flickering holographic display. "You seeing this, Commander?" Commander Elena Vasquez, 32, her raven black hair pulled into a tight ponytail, didn't look up from her console. Her form-fitting tactical suit hugged every curve of her toned frame, but nobody dared comment. Not when she could outshoot and outthink anyone on the ship. Her fingers flew across the interface, pulling up data streams. "It's not human," she muttered, "and it's close." The signal pulsed again, a distorted voice repeating the same phrase over and over. Rook rubbed his stubble. "Can we clean it up? I want to hear what the hell it's saying." Elena shot him a glare. "You think I'm not trying? This isn't some scratched-up old radio transmission, Rook. It's encrypted in a way we've never seen." Lieutenant Jake Rusty Malone, the ship's cocky 30-year-old comms officer, smirked from his station. "Maybe it's a love letter. Dear primitive humans, please don't freak out when we..." A sharp crack echoed as Elena threw a stylus at his head. "Focus, Rusty. I'll make sure your next assignment is scrubbing plasma conduits." Rusty ducked, grinning. "Yes, ma'am. But if it is a love letter, I call dibs on answering." Rook ignored them, his eyes narrowing as the signal finally stabilized. A voice, deep and distorted, filled the bridge. "Run." Silence. Then the proximity alarms blared. Elena's head snapped up. "Contact. Massive energy spike, right on top of us." Rook was already out of his chair. "Battle stations. Shields up, weapons hot." The crew scrambled, but it was too late. A shadow fell over the Ironclad. Something enormous, sleek, and utterly alien dropped out of warp directly above Earth's atmosphere. The ship's hull groaned under the sudden gravitational distortion. Rusty's smirk vanished. "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." Elena's fingers flew across her console. "They're powering weapons." Rook didn't hesitate. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of the firing line." The Ironclad lurched to the side as the first plasma volley streaked past, close enough to scorch the outer hull. The alien ship, a monstrous, angular thing with glowing red veins pulsing across its surface, turned slowly, like a predator sizing up its prey. Elena's voice was tight. "They're locking on again." Rook clenched his jaw. "Return fire. All batteries." The Ironclad's railguns roared to life, shells slamming into the alien vessel's shields with bursts of blue energy. For a second, nothing happened. Then, like a curtain being pulled back, the alien ship's hull shimmered, and the damage vanished. Rusty cursed. "They just heal." Elena's eyes locked onto the display. "They're not here to talk." Rook's grip tightened on the armrest of his chair. "Then we make sure they regret that." Outside, the stars burned cold and distant as the first shots of an interstellar war lit up the sky. And Earth, for the first time in centuries, knew true fear. The alien warship loomed over Earth like a nightmare made real, its shadow swallowing entire cities whole. On the bridge of the ironclad, Captain Rook Grayson watched in horror as the first plasma volleys rained down on New York. The skyline erupted in flames, towers crumbling like sandcastles under a tidal wave. All squadrons scramble. Rook barked into the comms. Defensive perimeter around major population centers, now. Elena Vasquez's fingers danced across her console, her face lit by the eerie glow of tactical displays. We've got 12 more contacts entering orbit. They're deploying drop pods. Rusty Malone let out a low whistle. Well, that's not good. You think? Elena snapped, her dark eyes flashing. Give me a channel to UEDF command. Static crackled before a harried voice came through. Ironclad, this is General Cole. We're seeing multiple landings across every continent. Whatever these things are, they're not stopping for negotiations. Rook's cybernetic fist clenched. Then we don't ask nicely. Order all ground forces to engage. Shoot anything that doesn't look human. Outside, the sky burned. Human fighters, outdated, sluggish things, streaked toward the alien vessels, their missiles leaving trails of fire. The aliens swatted them aside like insects. One by one, the fighters exploded in silent bursts of light. Elena's voice was tight. Our weapons aren't even scratching their shields. Rook's jaw set. Then we hit them harder. Divert all power to railguns. Full barrage. The ironclad shuddered as its massive cannons unleashed a storm of tungsten slugs. The rounds slammed into the alien ship's hull. And this time, something gave. A section of the warship's armor buckled, spewing molten debris into space. Rusty hooped. Hell yeah, that got their attention. But the celebration was short-lived. The alien ship's surface rippled, its wounds sealing shut in seconds. Then it returned fire. A blast of emerald energy lanced out, shearing through the ironclad's shields like paper. The impact threw everyone to the deck. Alarms wailed as smoke filled the bridge. Rook hauled himself up, spitting blood. Report. Elena coughed, gripping her console for support. Shields down to 20%. Hull breach on decks 4 through 7. We can't take another hit like that. Rusty groaned, rubbing his head. I take it back. This is really not good. On the view screen, the alien ship turned its attention elsewhere, toward Earth. Hundreds of drop pods detached, streaking toward the surface like falling stars. Rook's stomach twisted. They're going for the cities. Elena's voice was grim. We have to warn them. But it was too late. In New York, the first pods crashed into Times Square. The streets trembled as the hatches burst open, and the aliens emerged. Towering figures clad in obsidian armor, their glowing red eyes scanning the panicked crowds. They moved with terrifying precision, weapons humming to life. A live feed from the ground flickered onto the ironclad screen. A reporter's shaky camera showed the aliens advancing, cutting through police barricades like they weren't even there. Rusty paled. They're not even slowing down. Elena's nails dug into her palms. Because they're not here to conquer. Rook met her eyes, the unspoken truth hanging between them. They were here to exterminate, and humanity was losing. The ironclad limped through the atmosphere, its hull groaning from the damage sustained in orbit. Smoke curled from broken consoles as Rook gripped the armrests of his command chair, watching the devastation unfold on the view screen. Cities burned. Millions were dying. And there wasn't a damn thing they could do to stop it. Elena wiped sweat from her brow, her dark eyes scanning the tactical display. We've lost contact with every major military installation. Whatever jamming tech these bastards have, it's cutting us off completely. Rusty coughed, waving smoke away from his face. So what's the plan, Cap? Because dying gloriously wasn't on my to-do list today. Rook ignored the comment, his mind racing. There's an old research bunker in the Rockies, Black Mesa facility. If anywhere has answers, it's there. Elena arched an eyebrow. Black Mesa? That place was decommissioned decades ago. Yeah, officially. Rook stood, his cybernetic arm whirring as he clenched his fist. Unofficially, they were working on some interesting projects. Rusty groaned. Oh great. Secret government nonsense. That always ends well. The ironclad set down in a secluded valley, its landing gears sinking into fresh snow. The team moved quickly. Rook, Elena, Rusty, and a squad of battered Marines. The facility's entrance was hidden behind a rusted blast door, half buried in the mountainside. Elena ran her fingers along the door's control panel. Power's still on. That's not creepy at all. The door groaned open, revealing a dimly lit corridor. Dust swirled in the stale air as they stepped inside, weapons raised. The walls were lined with faded warning signs and peeling paint. Something hummed deep within the facility, a sound that shouldn't have been there after all these years. Rusty nudged a broken drone with his boot. Real welcoming place. Very abandoned horror movie vibes. Elena shot him a look. Keep joking. See if the aliens care. They reached a sealed vault door at the facility's heart. The keypad was dead, but Rook's cybernetic hand had other ideas. With a twist of his wrist, a hidden interface slid open, and he jacked in. The door hissed open. Inside was a single object, a sleek, black obelisk covered in strange runes. It pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Rusty took a step back. Nope, absolutely not. That thing is way too ancient evil artifact for my taste. Elena moved closer, her reflection warping in its surface. It's not alien. The markings, they're proto-human, older than any language on record. Rook reached out, and the moment his fingers brushed the surface, the obelisk activated. A holographic woman materialized before them, her armor ornate and unfamiliar. Her voice was calm, but carried the weight of centuries. If you are hearing this, the war has begun again. Rusty's jaw dropped. Okay, what the actual hell? The hologram continued, oblivious. This device is a key. Take it to the coordinates embedded within. What lies there may save you, or doom us all. Then it vanished, leaving only a set of glowing coordinates burned into their retinas. Elena exhaled sharply. Sahara Desert. That's where it's pointing. Rook stared at the obelisk, his mind reeling. Whatever's out there, the aliens don't want us to find it. Rusty threw up his hands. Fantastic. So we're basically on a suicide mission to dig up some ancient doomsday weapon. Elena smirked, slinging her rifle. You got a better idea? Outside, the distant roar of alien engines echoed through the mountains. They were running out of time. Rook grabbed the obelisk, its surface unnaturally cold. Then let's make sure we're the ones who find it first. The desert sun beat down mercilessly as the team's armored transport rumbled across the dunes, kicking up clouds of golden sand in its wake. Inside, the temperature was barely tolerable, the air thick with tension and the acrid smell of sweat. The obelisk sat secured in a containment unit between them, its strange runes glowing faintly in the dim light. Elena wiped her brow, squinting at the coordinates on her wrist display. We're close. Another kilometer, and we should be right on top of it. Rusty groaned, fanning himself with his cap. Remind me again why we couldn't just airstrike this place from orbit? Rook didn't look up from the obelisk, his cybernetic fingers tracing the ancient markings. Because whatever's down here, it's ours. And if the aliens want it bad enough to burn cities to stop us, then we need it intact. The transport lurched to a halt, throwing everyone forward. Outside, the sand stretched endlessly, except for one anomaly. A perfectly circular patch of ground, devoid of dunes, as if something beneath had repelled the shifting sands for centuries. Elena shouldered her rifle and popped the hatch. This is it. The heat hit them like a wall as they stepped out, their boots sinking into the scorching sand. The obelisk hummed in Rook's grip, its glow intensifying as they approached the center of the barren circle. Rusty kicked to the ground. So what now? A deep thrum vibrated beneath their feet. The sand trembled, then parted, revealing a massive metal hatch buried just beneath the surface. Ancient symbols, matching those on the obelisk, were etched into its surface. Elena's breath caught. It's a door. Rook didn't hesitate. He pressed the obelisk against the hatch's central indentation. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the ground shook. Gears groaned. Centuries-old mechanisms grinding to life as the hatch slid open with a hiss of stale air. A yawning darkness stretched below, a ramp descending into the unknown. Rusty took a step back. Oh, come on. You know this is how every horror movie starts. Elena flicked on her rifle's mounted light, the beam cutting through the gloom. Then stay up here and babysit the truck. She didn't wait for a response, descending without hesitation. Rook followed, the obelisk now blazing like a torch in his hand. Rusty muttered something unflattering under his breath, but trailed after them. The ramp led to a vast, cavernous chamber, and at its center, a ship. But not like any ship they'd ever seen. Sleek, black, and angular, it looked like it had been forged from shadow itself. Its surface was seamless, no visible seams or rivets, as if carved from a single piece of dark metal. Symbols identical to those on the obelisk adorned its hull, pulsing with a faint, eerie light. Rusty whistled. Okay, that's not terrifying at all. Elena moved closer, her light reflecting off the ship's surface. This isn't alien tech. Rook's pulse pounded in his ears. No, it's ours. A sound echoed through the chamber, a deep, resonant hum. The ship's surface rippled, and a doorway materialized out of nowhere, sliding open with a whisper of displaced air. Inside, the walls were lined with dormant consoles, their screens flickering to life as they approached. A holographic interface activated, displaying schematics of weapons, devices capable of tearing through the alien ships like they were made of paper. Elena's fingers hovered over the controls. This isn't just a ship, it's an arsenal. Rook's jaw tightened as he studied the displays. And it's been here longer than human history. A new voice cut through the silence. Mechanical, ancient, authorization required. Rusty jumped. Oh, you got to be kidding me. The holographic woman from the obelisk reappeared, her gaze piercing. Only those of the bloodline may activate the vessel. Rook hesitated, then placed his hand on the console. For a second, nothing happened. Then the ship roared to life. Lights blazed, consoles flared, and the entire chamber trembled as the vessel's engines powered up for the first time in millennia. Elena's eyes locked onto the weapon schematics, her voice barely above a whisper. We can win this. Outside, the distant scream of alien engines echoed across the desert. They were coming, and this time, humanity wouldn't be defenseless. The ancient ship's control room hummed with newfound energy, consoles flickering to life with alien, no, human, technology that hadn't been touched in millennia. Rook's fingers danced across the holographic interface, his cybernetic arm syncing seamlessly with the ship's systems. Schematics of weapons, propulsion tech, and defensive matrices scrolled past at dizzying speeds. Elena leaned over his shoulder, her breath warm against his ear. Can you actually understand any of this? Rook smirked. Not a damn thing, but the ship does. He tapped a glowing rune, and the entire vessel shuddered as its engines roared to full power. And it's ready to fly. Rusty clung to a support beam as the floor vibrated beneath them. I'd just like to point out that none of us are pilots of ancient death machines. A deafening explosion rocked the chamber above them. Dust rained from the ceiling as the sound of plasma, fire echoed through the bunker. Elena's head snapped up. They're here. Rook didn't hesitate. Strap in. We're leaving. The ship's thrusters ignited with a thunderous boom, tearing through the remains of the bunker's ceiling as it launched skyward. Sand and debris sprayed in all directions as the sleek black vessel shot into the desert sky like a bullet. Through the view screen, they saw them. 3 alien interceptors, their jagged hulls glinting in the sunlight as they banked hard to pursue. Rusty groaned, gripping his seat. "Oh, come on. Can we catch one break?" Elena slid into the weapons station, her fingers flying across the controls. "Let's see what this thing can do." She locked onto the nearest interceptor and fired. A beam of pure, white energy lanced out, slicing through the alien ship like a hot knife through butter. It detonated in a spectacular fireball, the shockwave rattling their hull. Rusty's jaw dropped. "Okay, I take it back. I love this death machine." Rook wrestled with the controls as the other 2 interceptors returned fire. Plasma bolts streaked past, but the ancient ship moved with terrifying agility, dodging with impossible precision. Elena grinned, locking onto the second target. "They can't touch us." Another blast, another explosion. The third interceptor broke off, fleeing toward orbit. Rook's grip tightened on the controls. "Oh, no, you don't." He pushed the ship forward, its engines screaming as they pursued. The desert blurred beneath them as they shot into the upper atmosphere. Earth's curvature came into view, along with the massive alien mothership hovering in low orbit. Elena's smile faded. "That's bigger than I expected." Rusty swallowed hard. "We're not seriously." Rook didn't let him finish. He punched the throttle. Alarms blared as the mothership's defenses activated. Dozens of smaller ships launched from its bays, swarming toward them like angry hornets. Elena's hands flew across her console. "Incoming. A lot of incoming." Rook bared his teeth. "Time to see what this ship is really made of." He activated something deep in the ship's systems, something that made the entire vessel shudder with pent-up energy. The runes along its hull blazed crimson. Elena's eyes widened as she read the display. "Rook, that's a planet killer weapon." Rusty practically leapt from his seat. "Abort! Abort!" The alien ships opened fire. Rook's finger hovered over the trigger. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. The ancient ship trembled as alien plasma fire scorched its hull, warning lights flashing across the cockpit. Rook's finger hovered over the weapon's trigger, his knuckles white on the controls. The planet killer system pulsed with ominous energy, its power core humming like a caged beast. Elena grabbed his arm, her nails digging in. "Rook, think, if we use that, we're no better than them." Rusty was halfway out of his seat, his face pale. "Are you kidding me? After what they did to New York, to everywhere, glass the bastards." Another direct hit rocked the ship, sending sparks flying from a damaged console. The view screen flickered, showing the swarm of alien fighters closing in. The mothership loomed behind them, its massive weapons charging for a killing blow. Rook's cybernetic eye zoomed in on the mothership's bridge. There, barely visible through the alien alloy, was their leader, Vexus. The warlord stood motionless, watching, waiting. Something clicked in Rook's mind. He pulled his hand away from the weapon controls. "Elena, access the ship's database. I need to know everything about the First War." Elena didn't question him. Her fingers flew across the interface, pulling up ancient records. The holographic display filled with images of a forgotten era. Humans in advanced armor, towering cities among the stars, and enslaved people. Millions of enslaved people. Rusty's breath caught. Those are the aliens. Not just enslaved people. Engineered beings. Created. Owned. Elena's voice was hollow. "We made them." The truth hit like a hammer. This wasn't an invasion. It was a rebellion. The ship's comms system crackled to life. Vexus's voice, deep and distorted, filled the cockpit. "Now you remember." Rook stared at the view screen, at the destruction they'd wrought on each other. His hand moved to the comm. "We didn't know." A pause. "Then does that matter?" Outside, the alien fighters held their positions, weapons still trained, but no longer firing. Waiting. Elena gripped Rook's shoulder. There has to be another way. Rusty looked between them, uncharacteristically quiet. For once, he had no joke. Rook took a deep breath and opened a full broadcast channel to the aliens, to Earth, to whatever remained of humanity. This ends now. His fingers moved across the controls, not to fire, but to shut down. The Planet Killer system powered down, its energy dissipating harmlessly. The ancient ship's weapons disengaged. Silence. Then, from the mothership, a single word, why? Rook met Elena's eyes, then Rusty's. His answer was simple. Because we choose to be better. The alien fighters didn't move. The fate of two species hung in the balance. And for the first time in millennia, there was hope. The silence stretched between the ships like a live wire, crackling with unspoken tension. Rook kept his hands visible above the controls, his heart pounding against his ribs. One wrong move, and the fragile truce would shatter. Elena held her breath, watching the alien mothership's weapons slowly power down. "They're standing down," she whispered, as if speaking too loud might break the moment. Rusty let out a shaky laugh. Either that, or they're just reloading. A new transmission cut through the static. Vexus's voice, less distorted now, almost human. "You've deactivated your weapon." Rook leaned forward. "We're done fighting." "A trick." "No." Rook gestured to Elena, who quickly pulled up the ancient records. "We saw the truth. What our ancestors did to yours. We're not them." The comm channel remained open, silent for so long they thought the connection had been lost. "Then prove it." Elena's fingers flew across the console. "I'm sending them everything. The archives, the history, all of it." Rook nodded. "And we'll do more. Help rebuild what was destroyed. Return what was taken." Another pause. Then, the alien fighters began moving. Not attacking, but forming up in precise formation around their mothership. Rusty blinked. Are they leaving?" The answer came as the massive alien vessel began to turn, its engines flaring to life. But before it jumped to warp, Vexus's final transmission came through. "We will watch. And remember." Then, in a flash of light, they were gone. The bridge was silent for 3 full seconds before Rusty collapsed into his chair. "Holy hell. We just talked down an alien armada." Elena exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. "No, we apologized to one." Rook stared at the stars where the mothership had been, his mind racing. "This isn't over. They'll be back to see if we meant what we said." Elena smirked, tapping the ancient ship's controls. "Then we'd better get to work." The view screen shifted to show Earth below, its city still smoking but no longer burning. Survivors emerging from rubble. First responders are scrambling to help. Humanity broken but not defeated. Rusty stretched, groaning. "So, we saving the world now, or what?" Rook powered up the ship's engines, its alien, no, human, technology humming smoothly. Something like that. As they descended through the atmosphere, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson. A new day, a second chance, and somewhere out there in the vast darkness of space, the galaxy would soon learn the most terrifying truth of all. When humanity chose mercy over destruction, that was when they became truly unstoppable. And that was the end of the story. Comment below if you want the next chapter, and hit that like button. Please subscribe, turn on the bell, and, as always, keep the last light burning.